I think what it was the interest and activity on site. And so we have our platform, then we obviously have our website, and we call it like the mother site. And we were getting so much activity on site and so many different clicks and views to our education guides, YouTube
Mhm.
videos, and that world around like what Glewee means from an influencer marketing perspective. That to us, the only way to actually count that as what we would think is like part one of a conversion is getting them into a demo form. And these brands, these businesses, these social media marketers, these startup founders were saying, I want to do a demo.
Hi, welcome to another episode. I'm your host, Brian Mattocks. With me today is Christian Brown from Glewee. Welcome, Christian.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for having me.
So if you could give us a little bit of background on, I guess, how you got started with Glewee and where it came from and what it's up to, that'll be a good place for us to start.
Yeah, okay. This is going to be a kind of walk down the path here. So, grew up in Massachusetts when I was younger, like 15, 16, 17, used social and kind of all forms of new online communication as like an outlet to the world. And at that point, as platforms like Instagram were really growing, YouTube was in its like biggest phase. I think that like my desk was kind of the world. And social media was that vehicle to getting there. And so through that, I was able to build brands, build platforms, build communities on social. And that in my high school days generated enough revenue and money for myself to travel. Got to go spend a lot of time in New York, spent a lot of time in Los Angeles, then London, all over the world, really working with different creators. And at that point, that was when influencer marketing at like a true Gen Z level was really taking off. And with the rise of Instagram influencers and like celebrities really jumping on that train, there was a lot of work to be done there. And in all my times working with different creators, around the time of being in my university in Chicago, I was spending time in Los Angeles working with a few creators where I then met who is now my best friend, Dylan Duke. And from there, we were working with creators, solving problems from communicating with brands to signing contracts, understanding agreements and legal, and basically understanding that if you don't have representation from the management or agent perspective, there's no way to actually monetize your social pages or monetize your following and your influence. And so we set forth to create an end-to-end influencer marketing platform that is truly by creators for creators, that also takes all of what we understood about the marketing sense and combined it all into one. So we have an iOS app for creators and we have a web platform for brands. And we want to work with creators anywhere from 10,000 followers up to 10 million, that don't typically have agents, managers, etc. And we want to give them a platform to find new brands to work with, to work on paid collaborations, to launch content on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, everywhere, and really monetize on that. And then on the brand side, give brands a way if you're a startup or an SMB company, mid-tier company, we want to give you a way with just a few clicks to actually launch a campaign, find influencers that want to work with your brand, and do it all in one hub without crazy monthly subscription fees and without the learning barrier of what is influencer marketing and how do we do it.
So you have what it sounds to be a double-sided market then, and you've got
Mhm.
to attract both new creators and traditional brands that want to get use those influencers as a market face. So
Mhm.
how are you sort of, let's, I guess we'll take one of those markets at a time. How are you attracting creators to the platform? What's your approach there?
Yeah, really good question. So with the double-sided marketplace, when we once had this platform idea on sticky notes, pre-launch, pre-beta, pre-anything, we thought with the question, how are we going to crack the chicken and egg? And we thought about it and we said, well, we were 22 and 21 at the time when we first launched the platform. And we said, well, let's leverage what we have. We have our network. We've worked with hundreds of creators already, and we understand what creators and influencers want out of a platform. They want to be able to track their stats. They want to be able to see how much money they can make. They want to apply for more campaigns, and they want to work with more brands to create these posts and get paid. And so we started there. So a lot of surveying, a lot of understanding what our friends wanted, because we wanted to build something that really reflected the pain points that we once saw from the creator side. So upon launching, worked directly with our network, and we started to get users in the door. And to be on our platform, you have to download and apply. And then each influencer and creator is vetted based on minimum follower count, engagement rate, and then they pass through a brand likability and suitability for work test, just for engagement's sake. And so with that, creators started downloading and applying. And then we started to see it take off. And so a lot of the messaging was around find new brands to work with, be a part of paid collaborations, join new paid brand deals. And we really looked at where are creators talking, where are creators searching for this information, and how can we place ourselves there. And so once we had our first base of users there, we then used the platform to replicate the act of marketing for the platform. And so we worked with some of our top creators to make content through our own platform. So we said, hey, we're going to pay you through Glewee to make content and post it on Instagram, TikTok about Glewee. And so that worked tremendously. And from there, we've built out robust email programs. We run a couple ads on social, but it's actually not a place that we play, because what we do is we take a very invite approach. So we understand exactly what creators based on metrics will meet our engagement and our community guidelines. And then from there, we actually send out mass. And by mass, I mean like we've sent out hundreds of thousands of personalized emails to these creators, inviting them onto our platform, showing them the UVP, USP of what Glewee is, and having them download and apply. And so from there, over the past year and a half, we've gotten over 55,000 creators that have downloaded and applied, and we've built our community from the ground up that way.
That's awesome. So on that side of the conversation, you don't really, it's sort of standard cold outreach plus selective, being selective in who you're going after, which I think is an interesting approach. That whole application process does kind of pull folks into that ecosystem, and I think that's really really helpful. And for folks listening that have an environment where you have the chance to screen your clients in that way, I think that's a really powerful strategy. What are the drawbacks of that, though? Are there any issues with hitting that many people in and then telling them they have to apply? How is that working?
Yeah, as a marketer, I think I've learned an immense amount through this program in specific, because they most definitely don't teach you this at the university level, how to actually build these email programs, how to execute at mass scale, how to identify not only your market, but qualifications within the market. Because, yeah, we want creators and influencers to join our platform, but there's a benchmark that they need to hit. There have been a bunch of drawbacks. It ebbs and flows. We've seen tons and tons and tons of creators that respond back or even just reach out to us and they're like, I'm not joining this, my manager doesn't want to. Or we'll see managers come back and they're like, well, we need to know exactly how much money is on the table right now. And we're like, well, we've built an app for the everyday creator to see, and there's about 10 to 15 different paid campaign opportunities that look for like 5 to 10 influencers every single day. And we're like, yeah, just download the app, join, you'll get all the notifications. And if you don't want to see the new paid brand deals or you want to set a minimum price, you can do so. And so I think with communicating the unique value props of the platform, we've learned that your mega influencers, your celebrities, anyone that has reached a certain level isn't going to want to participate in something like this, because that's why they have an agent or a manager. And then on the flip side of the coin as well, so within our selective servicing, stats change, and an influencer, those data points change nearly by the minute. So if you have X amount of followers and a rock star engagement rate on Monday, that might change by 2 weeks from now. So by the time some creators can get around or check their inbox, it might even be months later and their engagement rates have fallen, or they've switched their profiles around and they no longer meet our criteria. And yes, we did once invite them, but we do see some pain points there that qualifications do shift. And so it's been a very unique approach. I think a big challenge is that we can't run ads on social like your everyday product or service can, because our platform is looking for a specific user type. So you can't just go broad. And across the meta suites, you can't say, hey, only show this ad to people with X amount of followers. So going broad really is a wide net approach where we have to filter through numerous people that see the opportunity, which is, oh, I want to get paid to work with brands. But if you don't have what the brand or the buyer in our marketplace function is looking for, then you're not eligible to actually utilize our system to the highest ability. So it's being able to distill it and filter that I guess, market, we could call it, all the way down to these qualifications has been a unique challenge. And it's something that our team has just grown to succeed with.
Mm. And on the other side of that, you have the problem with brands really, in many cases, not knowing quite what they're getting in terms of what they're buying, right? So there's an education component there, I imagine. What does that look like on your sort of outbound programs and campaigns?
So I'll take you down a little timeline. Upon launching, we were first testing our V1 of beta in like a moderate PLG structure. But by doing so, we also wanted to be in touch with every brand. And so we were looking at it from the perspective of how can we help them work through the platform because we understood that we had built something completely from scratch, a small crew of us. And it was built to scale and we needed to learn from those users. So I guess phase one was initial PLG, where we got a lot of really good feedback. Phase two was a subscription tier approach. And so as we grew the business, we tried different approaches and avenues to acquisition. And obviously, at the end of the day, in order to keep the lights on and scale the platform, we needed revenue streams. And so outside of the platform fee revenue stream that we were seeing, which is great, and that's the marketplace function, we also wanted to test out a subscription service. And so we built a three-tier approach. We looked very deeply at the competitive landscape. And what's unique about the influencer marketing platform landscape, similar to a lot of other industries, is that there's players at the top and legacy brands that have been around for 10, 15, 20 years. In the middle, there's agencies that do this on behalf of clients that really have their own tech to power it in the back end. So not true SaaS. And then at the bottom was not many true SaaS platforms. And so we looked at it and we said, well, we can play in the legacy brand landscape and the very competitive market where competition has teams of 50 to 100 BDRs, SDRs, AEs built out with their sales program. And we tried to emulate something like that. And it was one of the greatest learning experiences ever because that was definitely the first time that we were uber challenged and nearly truly stumped in acquisition. And so with that, we went from just getting people interested in our platform to very quickly having to set up our CRM. So we stood up HubSpot in a matter of weeks, and it was our first time in the platform. And so we took hundreds of hours of training courses, stood up HubSpot from the back end, integrated it into the website, built an SDR, AE, BDR team within the platform itself, within the company. And then from there, the name of the game was demo forms. So we shifted our approach entirely. That lasted a couple months, I'd say 9 or 9.5 months, and it was working. And we were getting brands every single day, 20, 30 demo forms. Demo forms were coming in via Google Ads, Meta Ads, TikTok ads. They were coming in, they were qualified brands. But at the end of the day, we were playing a competitive landscape and we were bringing on tons and tons and tons of influencers because our value prop there and our product market fit was starting to catch on. And so what we saw was a decline in acquisition on the brand side because it was a much more selective process. They needed to subscribe, which means people were doing demos with tons of different platforms. But on the influencer side, we were growing that and they were coming in because there was all these paid brand deals that we once had. And once the balance started to be not equal and the equilibrium shifted, we looked at that and said, well, now the challenge is the chicken and the egg because we have the influencers. Now we need a mass amount of brands. Which then led us on actually August 24th of last year, because it was a fantastic launch, led us back down the true scalable PLG model. And so with that in mind, we went back to a free to use platform approach with transaction fees on the platform. Brands can come in for free. They can do influencer marketing, work with the creators. And then when they actually find the creators they want to work with, we have platform fees associated with the contract. And then we just broke it down. So bringing it all the way back to answering the original question of education, we broke it down to what do startups, what do SMB companies, mid-tier companies want? They want to find influencers that are going to drive the communication of their product and service to the right audience, and they're willing to pay for it. And we broke it all the way down, made the platform so easy to get into, so easy to launch a campaign. And within 5 minutes of being on our platform and launching that first influencer marketing campaign with no credit card down, influencers are getting the notification and applying to be a part of it. And we really started to see the speed there. And with that approach, we were able to grow our user base 900% in the following 7 months because that's what the market wanted. They know about influencer marketing. most people want to test it and try it if
Mm.
they are looking to drive sales and or brand awareness through social, but they just didn't want to go through the process of the demos and learning deeply about it. They wanted an easy to use platform. And so from there, we have built out a robust education guide on influencer marketing, how to do it. And that's available to all brand users in our platform. And then anyone wanting to learn more, we're building that out with a comprehensive series for YouTube right now.
Gotcha. So it sounds like the managing that balance though has got to get tricky, right? You're going to need to have just enough influencers um, to make sure that the brands are getting the value, but not so much that all the opportunities get snapped up in 5 seconds. So how are what are you using as a metric to evaluate that? What are you doing to make sure that that balance stays sort of in optimal range?
Yeah, so what we've done on the influencer side is we've played a gamification approach. So the experience itself to apply to new campaigns is fun. It's quick, it's easy, and it's fun. We allowed the influencers to actually pitch themselves in a message. That message into that campaign gets created as a chat on the brand side. And so what we pride ourselves on is that immediate and true, honest communication between the brands and creators because we don't step in at all. We let all chat, all contract, everything gets auto created from the campaign side, but that chat function is direct. And so what we do is we try to gamify the experience of creators applying to campaigns by showing them here are a bunch of creators that are getting into all of the campaigns. How do you set up your account to be like them? How do you pitch yourself similar to them? Are you including media kits, assets, etc.? And then on the brand side, we're finding a good balance because the parameters that the brand set, they can say, hey, I want just females age 18 to 24 on the West Coast. And what we've done is we've created the influencer pool to actually be able to fit nearly any and every search so that within minutes, a few qualified influencers will start to apply because they get the notifications first. And then over time, as influencers are scrolling the feed, because we have a very fun feed experience for them, you can scroll through every which way, find new campaigns you qualify for or don't qualify for and apply from there. But so the first creators you get are the most qualified. And then from there, within 24 hours, anywhere from 20 to 50 more influencers will apply. And then from there, the brands really like the experience of getting to message them, getting to actually chat with these creators, and opening the door for possible communication.
Hmm. Once that balance though gets out of sync, once you get to that point, it's going to be hard because I think the challenge then would be the users, the influencers would leave the platform if there's not enough brand stuff happening, and vice versa if the brands get on and there's not enough influencers. So what are you doing to make sure that how are you measuring that balance?
So I'd
Have
say
like cycle time or something like that?
yeah, so I think it really plays down to retention, and the retention experience. So, and this is also a complete double-sided game. So on the creator side, building out new functionality within the platform that doesn't make this the sole purpose. So creators every single day across all of their socials can see exactly how many new followers they've gotten in an aggregate data point. They're notified about that. We're building in new creator guides and creator-led programs for education and content in the platform so that we have retention that goes beyond just the paid brand deal portion of things. And we're making sure that every day there's about 40 to 50 new brands that are joining our platform. And of that, 15 to 20 new campaigns are launched from those brands. And so we're trying to make sure that that funnel is constantly rising. And once the brand launches a campaign, we're getting directly on the phone with them. We're saying, hey, we're going to give you some information on how to best choose creators, why you should choose different creators, why to work with more micro influencers than macro influencers. And we're just working to make sure that the brand campaign on that first time campaign is a success so that we get the repeat business on that side so that we build that repeat business while we're also filling the funnel with new brands starting their experience.
Gotcha. And you mentioned, when you had shifted in the kind of the middle period there where you went from PLG to subscription based and then back, that there was a significant learning there. It sounds like you had scaled up your SDR force significantly. What was the biggest sort of aha moment? What led you to believe or understand that you needed to go back to a PLG model?
I think what it was the interest and activity on site. And so we have our platform, then we obviously have our website, and we call it like the mother site. And we were getting so much activity on site and so many different clicks and views to our education guides, YouTube
Mm.
videos, and that world around like what Glewee means from an influencer marketing perspective. That to us, the only way to actually count that as what we would think is like part one of a conversion is getting them into a demo form. And these brands, these businesses, these social media marketers, these startup founders were saying, I want to do a demo. I want to learn about this all the time, 10, 15, 20, 30 a day. And when we looked at it, we're doing extensive research on how much does it cost for a B2B demo form. And we are at about 14 to 17% of industry average on our spend. And we kept saying, wow, okay, so now there's lag time between them wanting a demo and then them actually getting a demo. And then you have to account for people ghosting. And we looked at that and we said there's so much interest in the platform, but there's just not as much interest in working with someone, being sold, being talked to. And the way
Mm.
our platform works is we created a marketplace model. And a marketplace model is very difficult, but very magical when you can create that flywheel approach.
Mm.
And we understand the flywheel as brands launch campaigns, our creators and influencers apply and work with them. They create these social posts deployed to social. The brand is happy because they get their return and it's a repeat business. And if we put up barriers like lag time or the ability for someone to get distracted or the ability for someone to explore competitive markets, then we're not capturing their grasp in that first moment. And that lag time was hurting us infinitely more than just opening the platform up and saying, hey, you want to do influencer marketing? You just searched it. You just found our platform. We want you to come on and launch a campaign so that first user experience is seamless. And then we want you to go to another tab. And within 3 minutes, you're getting emails that real influencers with strong, high following on social are raising their hand, applying, and pitching themselves to you. Because that 10-minute experience right there is going to trump and be greater than any 2-day delay between you wanting a demo,
Yeah.
you booking, getting one, being sold, having to talk to a manager or boss, and then maybe converting.
Yeah. No, I like it. That's super interesting. Christian, it's been really interesting to learn more about kind of your approach to the influencer marketing conversations. If people want to find out more or they want to get a hold of you, how should they reach out?
So if you want to join Glewee as a brand, you can go to glewee.com, which is spelled GLEWEE.com, and you'll see all over the website set up for good CRO is create free accounts. You can join our platform, launch a campaign, work with creators exactly like we talked about today. If you want to reach out to me, you can find me on LinkedIn at Christian Brown. Or if you have any questions about social media, influencer marketing, or the creator economy, I'm always open and I'm one email away. And you can find me at chris@glewee.com.
Awesome. And in your marketing journey so far to make Glewee the success that it's become, what are your three biggest lessons that you've learned?
My three biggest lessons that I've learned is if you want to go big, don't put up a pay gate. If you want that mass scale, mass feedback, that massive loop, don't put up a pay gate and just let people experience the platform and build your fees and your structure around that. Um, my next thing is be very true to who you are and what your team is. We've learned this quite a long ways down the road is that brands want to come to us not only because we have a social media platform, but because we know social media and us as a founding team and as a team of mentors and leaders within our company. What we preach and what we speak to our brands and to our users is what we want the best for everybody. And so I think that there's such genuine intent with what we do. And because we built that out of the necessity of what we wanted in a platform, it allows each and every one of us to come to work every day ecstatic to continue driving this boat. Um, and then as a marketer, working with the best people and the most creative people because every day is another challenge. And you can look at stats and they're going to be up and you might feel excited, but don't forget that at the end of the day, if the stats are down, it's going to put you in the dump. So working with the best team, always understanding how to get over those humps and don't let the data kill you because bad data will kill creativity.
Mm, super helpful. I want to thank you so much, Christian, for being on the show today. I really appreciate your insights and your feedback.
Yeah, Brian, thank you so much.